Hello, Charles.
Hello, Fred.
How you doing?
Doing pretty good. How are you?
Very good, good. Thanks. I hope we have many people with us today for this new webinar. We're so happy to be back with Charles. It's been 2 weeks already that we made our last appearance and first appearance as well.
Too long, and I've actually met a few people who watched the webinar in between. So if you're already still here, shout out again for watching it. We have a lot of content for you guys today. Again, it's going to be really focused on how we can build ChatGPT and MCP apps. But today we're going to take an angle and looking specifically at travel and booking in general and what you can build in the ChatGPT. So let me just check. Can get started. I'll let you do the answer the chat, and I think I'll just
I
go
will make
ahead.
sure. Yeah. Don't hesitate if you have any question during the webinar to ask it on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Twitch, on X. We are broadcasting on all over those platforms. Feel free to ask your question anytime, and we'll make sure to try to answer it to the best of our abilities. Usually this works quite well, but we welcome questions, so feel free to ask as much as you want. This makes the lives really take another dimension when people ask their question and get answers to their questions, and we'd be happy to provide them as best as we can.
Definitely. And yeah, so I think I'm going to start by giving you a quick tour of the travel apps that are currently available in the ChatGPT App Store. And so, yeah, let's get from that. First, I'm going to do a mini shout out to one of the people who's actually not a developer on a go-to-market team who built an app that he submitted that basically allows you to find apps on ChatGPT. So it's an app to find apps. But yeah, basically I asked it to find me all of the travel apps. It's pretty good because I can very easily go to an app and then be able to see what it is. But so yeah, I prepared for you guys a list of the apps that I think are the most complete. And so again, if you don't know, you can go into GPT in apps and you have the App Store here. You can search for any app that you want. Once you have selected an app, you can just do and click on connect. That will add the app to your App Store. And from there, you'll be able to use it in chat. So let's start with one of my favorites. I think I actually showed it the last webinar we did, but I'm going to show it again. It's called Cottages. Cottages.com is a platform to book houses, specifically cottages across the UK. And I'm going to ask it if it can find me a house in Cornwall, which, if you don't know, it's a very nice area southwest of the UK. I want the first week of May for me, my wife, our kids, our dog, and I would like it to have a hot tub. So let's try and make use as much as possible of the LLM so that it can basically fill out filters for us. Yeah. And as you will see, hopefully, yes. Okay, so ChatGPT detected that it has the app. By the way, you see I've added the add cottages, so that kind of triggers the chat to add the app, even though more and more ChatGPT can add the app without you specifically mentioning it. I will talk about this a little bit after. But yeah, so just by curiosity, basically ChatGPT requested Cornwall, 2 adults, 1 children, 1 pet, special feature, a hot tub, and I get some results. I will also do something for you guys. I will change. I'm a little bit of a dark mode fan, but let's go light mode for this. Yeah, so I can see different cottages. Those look very alike. ChatGPT actually summarize all of them for me. The cool thing is if I click on one of them, I actually get a map view of the area and where exactly it's located. I can still explore like this, so I can see the different results. If I change the location here, let's actually do it. Actually, I would like to go to Scotland. And what will happen is it will create a new tool call. The same ChatGPT is smart enough to remember the other filters. It will re-trigger a tool call that should hopefully update our map and take us to the new location. There we go, and we are moving to Scotland. So Scotland is a big country, of course. So yeah, we can take a look at one. And the next thing I want to show you, which is important, is that ChatGPT is aware of what we are looking. So right now we are looking at the stables, which doesn't have a lot of info in the UI, but actually ChatGPT has more info. So if I ask, can you tell me more about this cottage? We are using a feature that Fred will talk a little bit more after. That's called the data LLM, basically allowing the widget to know what the user is seeing. And when we build the app, we define what the model should know from what the user is seeing. So basically, some of the information that are behind this card are available to the model. So that's kind of the Cottages app. It works also very well on mobile. Some of the tiny things, of course, you can finish your kind of order flow on the website itself. This is just a discovery. And you also have, I think this button works also well. This just links you to cottages.com. I think, yeah, that's the main thing for Cottages. I think it's one of the best because first it's working perfectly, and also it's actually using a lot of filters. The feature list is actually pretty huge. You can say, hey, I want it to be close to the sea. I want it to be close to a pub. I want it to have a barbecue, and it will actually work pretty well. Let's move to the next one. Next one I have, so it's not to book hotel. This one is kiwi.com. It's one of the first app and the first people who we've been talking to. It's basically an app to book flights. And in this scenario, I'll just try to book flights to Rome, because why not? Of course, in Paris, if you didn't get it from my accent, we're going to try and go to Rome. And kiwi.com, of course, has up-to-date data about a lot of flights. This is actually one of the biggest, I think, quality of the app is the quality of the data behind. They have cheap flights across many, many destinations. And so first, we get a carousel with the different results. But again, if we go on it, it's actually nice. We can see if there is layovers. We can see the path that the flight will take us to. Yeah, we can also, again, say, actually, I don't even know when I put as the date. Let me just check what did I ask. This weekend, actually, I would like to fly the weekend after. And again, yep.
While we wait for the weekend after trips, Redinag is actually asking, how did you switch to the full view on ChatGPT?
Yeah, so basically it's a feature of an app. So it's the app itself. In that case, this one is reloading, but the app that we're seeing right now, which by default, when you first render a widget, it's what we call an inline view. So it's just inline of the chat. But some of the apps, this one, basically, when you click on a card, it's triggered to use the display mode full screen. There is also one last display mode, which is called picture in picture. So your app will basically stick to the top of the chat, and you'll be able to scroll below with the picture in picture staying in view all the time. But yeah, so it's basically a feature of this specific app, similar that we had for Cottages before. It's when we click this button or the card that we go to the full screen, but it's not a ChatGPT per se feature. So it's the app that has to have implemented it. And going back to our view, yeah, basically this updated it. Hopefully the dates are correct. June 28th, maybe the LLM is still not so good with dates, because I'm actually curious to see. They are notoriously bad, but normally, what date did you look for? It actually just looked like this. So it's on the Kiwi side that this was not interpreted very well in terms of the date. But anyway, when you search for a new destination, it's going to update as well. And similar, once we have decided which flight we want to book, we can just go here and we will have the flight already pre-filled with all of the information. We can just continue and move on and finalize our booking pretty quickly. Next up, we have Voyage Privé. Well, this one I preloaded it to give us a little bit more time, but it's another similar to Cottages app from Voyage Privé, which has also a huge bank of different trips. Some of the trips include flights and the hotel, which is actually pretty great. This one is fairly similar. So here I'm looking for a trip to Paris. I know I'm already there, but why not? And we can see actually this one. One of the cool things with this one is it's actually looking at the language that the user has used to ask the question. So basically, the LLM is telling us that this was asked in English, and this would actually change normally. Did it? I know it depends also on the country. So basically, there is two things. It checks which country you are in, and if your country has multiple languages, which is not the case for France, because I'm in France right now, it's all automatically switching everything to France. But it's still an interesting behavior. If you are in a country like Switzerland or Belgium that has multiple countries, it will decide which language to use based on the question you asked your question in. So that's pretty good. Yeah, and in that case, again, we have a similar carousel view with the different information. There is some slight differences which are interesting, I think, with this one, because I reloaded it. I cannot just refresh the page. I think if you preload and reopen the... Yes, okay, it's working. When you click on something on an offer here, basically ChatGPT is automatically actually giving you more information about what you're looking at. So it's a different behavior that you might want to add to your app, something that you should know that you can do at any point when the user clicks or has any interaction with your app. You can decide that you want to wake up ChatGPT with a small prompt. In that case, the prompt is probably like some details about this specific hotel, saying, look, yeah, hotel, which one was I looking at? Hotel Mercure Gare de Lyon, yeah, this one. It's a practical option. If I can help you answer any question. Okay, what is great about this specific offer? And again, ChatGPT should have the more information. Yeah, so it's very well located. ChatGPT is a bit slow. Late checkout, breakfast or not, send cruise available, and this is kind of what's available in here from what I saw. So again, similar app with the map, which is also pretty cool. Kind of like it if you're used to the kind of Airbnb booking experience. You tend to want to know where exactly where you'll be. This is just a restaurant. Yeah, again, when you click on it, ChatGPT kind of kicks out the conversation. And again, like all the others, usually all of those apps are kind of a gateway to your product. In this case, you need to be logged in to go to Voyage Privé. If I do that, it's just a landing. No, it's not.
And
Okay.
showing the website of Voyage Privé, by the way, we have another question from Lafetum, who is taking a step back a little bit before we start the interaction directly into GPT. Was wondering if those MCP servers that you demoed for Kiwi and Cottages, like if they were already existing, or if we had to develop something specifically to be able to have them as available as ChatGPT app, or are they natively fetched from ChatGPT inside the website, existing websites that are that have been developed by those companies?
Okay, so if I understand the question, I'd say the answer is no, there was nothing pre-existing. Basically, the MCP server, which contains the widget and the UI in it, so it's been kind of a UI plus a mini backend that fetches the data. But this MCP server was built from nothing. The only thing it relies upon is, of course, an API, which has all of the data from those websites, so cottages.com, Kiwi, Voyage Privé. They have APIs that are actually also used to serve the main website. If you go on Voyage Privé, all of the information that you'll see on the website is fetched using the same API that the MCP server is using. It's something similar for Kiwi. So yeah, there was nothing pre-existing. Those MCP servers didn't exist. We basically created everything from scratch for those platforms. I hope that answers the question. Next up, so I was rate limited a bit before, but so Hyatt, this one is not coming from us, but I think it's one of the most complete that I've seen also on ChatGPT. Hyatt, of course, has a very big offering of hotels. So let's see if I'm still getting rate limited. I tried it a little bit earlier. Hopefully it will work. And let's not jump to Yes, well, I don't know why. Apparently, I've been banned. The good thing is I have a small video recording showing you why I think it was pretty good. In that case, I was just going to New York. It actually asked me follow-up questions. And here you can see it tells me so what date, how many guests, and one room. So yeah, depending on how the MCP server is set up, you can force ChatGPT to ask you and be more precise about your request, or you can just launch a search with the more vague parameters. I'll just try and go through in the video. Yeah, so it's again same typical carousel. The only thing that's great about Hyatt, I think, is that you can actually, if you click on an offer, you can see the different rooms inside a hotel. So this is actually pretty good. For those again who are used to booking hotels, this is something that you usually kind of want. You're able to pick between the suites and the room, and even if you are looking at a suite, you can then see the different rates directly in ChatGPT. And again, if you pick on a rate and you say book, it's going to take you right to the booking of this specific suite for this specific date with all of the information pre-filled. So I think this is actually pretty cool. And they went all the way in the kind of discovery to booking flow, almost everything in ChatGPT. Last but not least, I think I had, hold on. The last one that I have, so it's booking.com. And for the interest of time, again, I preloaded this one. Booking, of course, kind of inescapable in the booking in the travel industry. So yeah, a quick mention to them because they have such a big catalog. Their app is fairly simple, to be honest. There's a few things that could be improved. We haven't been working with them. But yeah, again, you can typically select a few. You have a few inputs: destination, number of guests, number of room. They are actually, which is something very interesting, they are taking in the user query as parameters. So you can potentially use this information to kind of understand what your users are looking for. This is something that it's pretty unclear whether you are allowed to do this or not in ChatGPT apps. Sometimes OpenAI would kind of like this as you trying to extract information about the users, sometimes not. So it kind of depends. There's no 100% clear rule about this, but it's interesting to see that the Booking app, of course, Booking is a big partner of OpenAI, so they might have some leeway. But they are using extracting the user query. I think it's interesting to note. And then in the response, of course, we have the bookings. You can have we have a full screen view with some more pictures, with more information. One thing they didn't do is they are not using the widget state to keep the model aware of what we are looking at. So if we say, tell me more about this hotel, in that case, so GPT doesn't really know what I'm looking at. So it's actually asking me which one of the results I gave you are talking about, which is a bit sad because it's actually not very complex to do and makes the experience a lot better. other than because without this, it's kind of ChatGPT can use your query to kind of build the filters a little bit. But then after this, it's just kind of the website that's kind of packaged inside the widget without abilities to kind of interact very well with the model. And then you get the links to the map, which is also not in the app, but it's actually, you can go to Booking to finish it. But of course, a bit more difficult from your phone. And similar to all the others, you can finish your booking trip from there. One last thing before we move, it doesn't have, I kind of created the video again for this one, just to show you that there is some experience that are a bit more convoluted. This one is from Sixt, a rental car company. Fred.
Yeah, maybe just before you move on to the Sixt application, we have Dexter Mancuso that was asking, how do you pick the name of the app? Does it have to be unique when you register the app with OpenAI and not already taken? Are there any limitations on what name you can be using to register your app?
Very good question. And so the answer is yes to all of it. First, it has to be unique. You cannot reuse the name of the app. Second, it cannot be too generic. I think it's going to be hard to call an app travel, and that's it. generally they kind of flag and refuse apps that have too generic name. It's a reason for them to refuse you. And then of course, if you're using a name that's trademark, again, you have to prove that you are the company behind the name. Otherwise, they will get you flagged as you're not owning this name. If you try to use or overstep on some another brand, they're gonna flag you. And also, so the names that you choose and then how I trigger the apps. Once you've installed the app, you can just do the add and see all of the names, and that's gonna allow to trigger the apps. And small mention, actually, it's been like this for a while now. So you do either the add or you do the plus button that has all of the pre-installed app. But nowadays, ChatGPT is actually kickstarting app if you don't do the ad. So if, for example, if I say I want to go to Scotland next week, find me cottages. I'll just do .com because I think this works. So I didn't really do the app. So the app is not really like added to the chat by default. No, this one didn't do it. Sometimes I swear it's true. Sometimes it actually will pop up the app even if I didn't do the app. Rental cottages. Did I spell it correctly? I think I did. Maybe it was only one T. Yeah, so it's kind of explicitly, it's even longer. Oh yeah, so now it's doing it. So I didn't do the app, the ad, but so this is also telling you that OpenAI is slowly working into changing the way apps are being triggered. At the moment, it's kind of, you have to pre-install the app, find it, connect it, and then do the ad, which is kind of long. It's actually using the developer version of it, which is something I have on my site, but it's not the actual main one. I doubt this will actually work. But just to show you that these things are actually, a developer app is actually working. But yeah, so I didn't specifically do the ad, and ChatGPT still, even though this is fairly explicit, was able to add the app to my conversation, and this is something that's going to evolve. OpenAI has been hinting in the past few weeks that discoverability is going to be a very big thing in ChatGPT.
Cool.
Yep, right.
Yeah, we got quite a few more. Radinag is asking again if you can access all the code snippet. So basically the payload of the request and the response from the conversation because you are in developer mode, or is it something special that you clicked?
So because I've been in developer mode for so long, I can't even
I'm pretty sure you can access it even if you're not in developer mode.
Yeah, because it's still in the early days. But let me just try and do it very quickly. So it's in the
Don't be a developer anymore, please.
Yeah. It's been too much. Then you remove that. So I'm not in developer mode. No, it's actually true. It's only in developer mode that you can see.
It's only developer mode that allows you to display the...
And so developer mode is accessible with a paid subscription. So you have to pay the $20 per month subscription to get it. Yeah. And actually in developer mode, they've added something recently. I cannot see it here. I think I had it in the previous conversation. Yeah, they even have this new, like even more details about the tool output, the loading of the widget, the tool description, and everything. So yeah, in developer mode, you have a little bit more access. Another question, or?
Let me check. David is wondering if you will be sharing the code that you demoed today after the...
These ones are proprietary apps, so you won't be able to share the code. It's not us. We've been working with those companies, but we will be sharing more codes and more templates for how to kickstart a quick project. This way you guys can get started. But yeah, and also a lot of the code of those apps are very business related, so how they integrate specific API. But the chunk of what's interesting and new in building MCP apps, Fred will show in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, I will show a bit more of that.
And so maybe before I actually give the mic to Fred to show how to build, one last thing I wanted to show you is the app from Sixt to book. So I did my search in French. So about that. But yeah, so basically the app, it's hard to use. Basically, the first thing you have to do is you pick a location. So it's kind of an agency where you want to start with. You click on connect, and when you select, it actually sends a new request that selects your location. From that, you get kind of another ID from this selection with some position information. Then you have to accept. You have this kind of warning about ChatGPT, and then you get the cars from your rentals. So, yeah, so showing you that even like a big brand like Sixt, there's some improvements to be made, I think, to make the experience a bit smoother. Because I'm pretty sure, looking at what's happening in this page, we could have done the same in one tool call. But yeah. So this is what I wanted to quickly show you. This is some of the apps. Of course, there is like, again, 50, I think, 50 or so apps in the store that are related to travel. Some are very simple, some are more complete. But yeah, I encourage you guys to join this and add your app. And if you are struggling, of course, you can always reach out to us. But with that being said, Fred, I'll let you take the screen and show us how we can do this.
Yeah, I'd be very happy to show a bit more about how to build this kind of app. Let me start by sharing my whole screen. It would be much easier. Do you confirm you see my screen at the moment? Just want to make sure I can.
Yep, all good.
Right. Okay, perfect. So at Alpic, we've been working for quite some time now, and we are very proud of our open source solution to build similar apps to the one Charles demonstrated just before. This framework is called Skybridge. It's an open source framework that you can get from GitHub that allows you to build ChatGPT and MCP apps, so apps that will also work outside of ChatGPT, for example, in Claude. Using a full stack TypeScript code base that's powering both your MCP server, that is the one responsible for the logic of which kind of product and services you make available for use in your app, as well as the UI that is presented inside the conversation in the form of React application and React components. We built Skybridge with the intention of making it very easy for people to start building an app. Of course, Skybridge is integrated with Alpic, so it's easy to build and then deploy your app to get submitted to the OpenAI store and be featured in the ChatGPT official apps catalog. And today I want to take the opportunity to share with you building journey going from scratch using Skybridge, of building Air Alpic, which is basically the future airline that we have not yet pivoted to, that will bring people from point A to point B in less than a few minutes. In order to start this app, you can see on Skybridge is as easy as creating a new app. So it's running a new command to create a Skybridge application. I'll do just that. So it will be, pnpm create Skybridge at latest. The name of the app will be Air Alpic, which is the name of the new airline that we are trying to build at the moment. I'll zoom in a little bit also for people viewing my screen to be able to read it. And when I start with this command, the first thing I'm getting prompts with is, do I want to package the coding agent skills that comes with Skybridge to build this project? Of course, I do want to take the agent skills that comes with it. Those skills have been developed by the Skybridge core team and ensure that the coding agents you are using, whether it be AMP, whether it be Cursor, Cloud Code, Codex, will be able to know the full extent of features that are available in the Skybridge framework and use those to the best advantage to build your app and making sure that users get the best experience possible. So if I do choose to package the ChatGPT app builder skill with the project, I get prompts on which coding agents I want to package the skill for. So for example, I can add Cortex, Crush, I can do whatever I want. I'm happy with the selection I have at the moment, and I will install it on the project scope using Symlink, which is the recommended installation way. When the skill is installed, I now get prompt by Skybridge if I want to install the project dependency and start the local development server right away, which I want to do. So now the Skybridge dependency are going to be downloaded, and I'm getting welcomed by Skybridge CLI that my development environment is up and running and available on localhost 3000. So what you will see in just a second is what we call the local server, the local DevTools packaged together with Skybridge, which empowers you to start building your app before connecting it to ChatGPT. You will start working in an environment that is completely local to your computer, allowing you to build on the tools that are part of your app, so various features that you want to power your user with, as well as the various interfaces that you want to make available in conversation. But this is before we even introduce an LLM in the mix, just working on the features that you want your app to contain and the UI pieces that will be shown in conversation. When you start a Skybridge project, this project comes packaged with a demo application, which is one that we call the Magic 8-Ball, which is an application that basically answers any question with one of the 24 available answers inside the Magic 8-Ball that you shake to get the answers to. So if I want to use this feature of the demo Magic 8-Ball app, I can ask any question that I want, like, will I do a demo effect? And the underlying server that I have running locally on my machine inside the new Skybridge project, which is called RLPIC, is going to answer to this question I asked, plus if this specific MCP server tool, which is what is the technical term behind any of the features that you see on an application, is backed by UI interfaces, it will also display the UI interfaces. And this is what you see here is the UI interface to display the Magic 8-Ball answer to my question, which I will apparently do a demo effect. This DevTools that I'm showing here is where you will be putting together the first pieces of your application in order to iterate fast on the development, working with your coding agent to adjust the kind of answers that your server provides, as well as the UI that is being generated together with this answer, before you even start bringing it into a coding agent, into a coding conversational agent like ChatGPT. What's nice about this development environment, as I mentioned just before, is the fast iteration loop. And what I mean by that is what we love as developers or people working with coding agent is to give the ability to our coding agent or to our eyes to see the effect of us making a change. If you work directly in ChatGPT using the default provided template that they give, you will lack critical features that we now use without even realizing it in 2026, which is called the hot module reload feature, which basically allows you to see changes on your UI as you make them inside your code base. And to demonstrate just how nice hot module reload features are, I will make such changes and show you the effect inside the dev tool. So I'll temporarily kill the server that I started and open the generated code base inside my favorite editor, which is Cursor. So it's RLPIC. If I make typo, it's not helping. So let me bring it here. inside this brand new SkyBridge application, you can see a bunch of files that have been brought together by the generating command. You see notably all the input to the skills that I shared before, like the ChatGPT app skill for Claude, or for any kind of coding agent that uses the .agents one or Cortex. They're all the same, basically, just various entry point to the same skill. You've got the server part, which is where you will define the features that are powered inside your MCP server. And you have the UI part, which is defined inside the web SRC widgets sections of your code base. You can find here the React component that is responsible for rendering the Magic 8 Ball answers. And if I start again my dev server.
Fred, while it's starting, just had one question from Opolyakov about the dev tool, saying that, let me just actually display it. I don't know how to do that, but basically asking if we need the dev tool so that we don't have to keep pasting the URL into ChatGPT dev mode to test your app.
So the dev tool, so the interface that I'm currently showing is what we call the dev tools. They are an environment outside of ChatGPT that got emulation of parts of ChatGPT to make sure that you can get a look and feel of what your app will look like when it will be inside ChatGPT. It's an intermediary step in the software development lifecycle process of your ChatGPT app before starting to work and to interface it with ChatGPT. I'll show you just after what's the next step, which is connecting it to ChatGPT. And you will see the same kind of features that we have inside the environment, development environment powered by the DevTools inside ChatGPT. But you will never see this specific interface, the DevTool interface, directly inside ChatGPT. Those are two different host environments where your app will be used and loaded for different purpose. Of course, in DevTools for development purpose, and in ChatGPT for production use purpose.
Thank you. And by the way, I will take this opportunity to mention what I put in the chat. I send the link to our SkyBridge open source repository. If you guys give us a star, we'll run a quick lottery at the end of the stream and send you back one winner will win one of the legendary Alpic masks. So yeah, again, just give us a quick star here. Always helps us, and we'd love to thank you for it. So yeah, giving you the mic back.
Thank you. So I just restarted my dev server from my IDE. I will ask the same question. Will I make a demo effect up? As I have my 8-ball answering here, I will make a change to the code base and see the changes being reflected in the dev tool. So for example, if I don't want the answer to be yes, I can say no. And those changes will be reflected directly inside the UI that I have here. That's very nice and funny, but it seems to be something that everybody expects, and that was not part of the original development experience that we get working with ChatGPT app. So this is something that we brought inside SkyBridge, and that we are very proud of to have a fully featured hot module reload capabilities into SkyBridge. So as you make changes in your UI, you will see them reflected inside the display in the DevTools. But that's not the only part you will see them. We package into SkyBridge a neat little feature that allows you to get the same benefits of the DevTools that you see locally on your DevTools server, also directly outside of it, for example, inside ChatGPT or inside Claude. And you will see this small phrase here that basically says that if I want to, I can also make this development environment public with a public URL through a tunnel using the -- tunnel flag. And I will do just that. So it's the SkyBridge dev -- tunnel command. And as I've started the same tunneling solution before, I already have a URL. But if this is the first time you run the command, you will be prompted to create a free account on Alpic. And this is this account that is going to power the tunneling solution that we used behind Skybridge in order to make your local development server available outside. And this URL is stable over time. So this is always the URL I will be using whenever I want to expose the MCP server I'm working on locally on my computer, whether it be RLPIC, as of today's demonstration, or any other MCP server that I might be working on. I've already added into ChatGPT a custom app with this specific URL behind. It's called Alpic Tunnel, and you can see the URL here is actually pointing to the URL that I'm using for my tunneling solution. If I interact with ChatGPT saying, Alpic Tunnel, will I make a demo effect? I will have ChatGPT conversing directly with the code running on my local machine. We'll see about it. Yeah. I see the 8 ball with a no answer. And now if I want to make, for example, the original answer appear, I can make the change and I will see the change reflected inside ChatGPT, where I got the original answer from the 8 ball. This is also available inside the Skybridge dev tool. So this was a demonstration of the dev tool that we use locally to iterate fast on the UI and the features that are packaged inside the ChatGPT app. I showed you as well the tunnel flag that allows the same development environment to be exposed outside of your computer in order to be added, for example, inside your own ChatGPT account using a developer account. No, it would be nice for this RLPIC ChatGPT app to look a bit more like an airline application rather than a demo 8-ball application. And for that, I'm going to use the skill that we have packaged inside the Skybridge starting pack. I can leverage it using Cursor, like I will do in this demonstration, but you can do it with Cloud Code or Codex or any other coding agents that you might be using at the moment. I will go in voice input mode. And just before that, I prepared, before the demonstration, for the purpose of the demonstration, a little file with dummy trips of aircraft that are part of the RLPIC fleets of flights, just to make it more convenient for the demonstration and not having an actual API and catalog being used as we are not an airline company, but we are an infrastructure hosting company for MCP server and MCP and ChatGPT app. So I will recover just now this flight.csv, which is basically a list of flights, of dummy flights. If I take a look at it, you can see that inside this list, I always have an origin with an airport code, a destination, time of the flight start, flight ends, duration, price, type of aircraft, and the days of the week that this flight is actually happening. Just a dummy list, just for the purpose of this demonstration. And let me prompt now my coding agent to see how I'm going to build an app. So I will go ahead for that. I want to build a ChatGPT app to display flight options of RLPIC. And this application should answer search with origin and destination with a widget containing a map showing origin and destination as pins and displaying paths of flight in between origin and destination. When I interact with a widget selecting the path, I get more information in a detailed side panel containing display price, time of departure of arrival, type of aircraft, which day of the week should be the flight going. All flights data are available in a flights.csv file inside the server/source folder. I can always escape the widget, and there is a big checkout button on the detailed site navigation panel to bring me to an external website with the rest of the checkout. Okay, so it was a long sentence, but the skill should be able to use it right away. You can see that cursor went straight for it and used the ChatGPT app builder skill that is packaged together with this project. It's probably going to take a little bit of time to be able to do all the changes. In case it doesn't go through, I prepared a backup application that is already implementing all this feature.
Well, it's working. Couple questions for you.
Yeah.
First one, can SkyBridge run in serverless environments like Cloudflare Worker, etc.?
Yes, it does. So SkyBridge has been made as a standalone product that can be run everywhere. You have a dedicated command for building the project source, which is SkyBridge build, and one for starting the development, the production server after you build the source, which is SkyBridge start. Both those commands can be executed anywhere, including serverless environments. What is not available as of today, but is ongoing inside the development plan of SkyBridge, is being able to work on edge environment without file systems, which SkyBridge relies heavily on at the moment. We have a proof of concept, for example, working on Cloudflare Worker, which is one of those environments without file system. And we will be releasing very soon a new feature, a new version of SkyBridge that works flawlessly in those kind of file system-less environment.
Thank you. Another one, which is, but this I guess not really a question for you, is that could the tunnel be blocked in corporate environment? And I guess the answer is yes. I'm not sure that tunneling is always going through. If you have a strict corporate network, there's a chance that that is not reachable from the outside world. But yeah.
Always give it a try. If you face issue tunneling your environment outside of your specific network condition and can provide some debugging information to the SkyBridge core team, we'd be happy to try to see what kind of changes we can make to the command to make it work as well, if doable. If you have a very restrictive network, chances are we might not be able to do anything without your security team being involved.
Yep. And the last one that I can take on my side, which is somebody asking why we are focusing on the ChatGPT infra and apps at the moment, even though there is it's still an experiment in validation, which is very true. It's still a beta feature if you go inside of ChatGPT, but we are seeing it solves a lot of problems, especially for business. Today, it's difficult when you're a business to keep relationship with the end users, keeping your brand identity, and so apps answer these questions very well. It's still the early days. It's been announced in October, but actually really opened 2 new apps early this year. And the App Store of Apple, which is a huge success, took more than a year to actually take off. So the answer is yes, we believe that there is MCP apps, and it's not only ChatGPT. MCP apps also cover Claude. Today you can use MCP apps in Cursor, in VS Code. The general ability to service data, proprietary data via MCP, and adding some UI for all of the agent interaction that requires users to actually look at something. We really believe there's a need for that in the world of AI. And so this is why we are building this open source framework that helps people build. And we also have a whole suite of infrastructure and stuff to help you deploy, test, and monitor your app once it's production. But yeah, we are strong believer that MCP and MCP apps is actually solving a big pain point. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure it is. This is awesome as a distribution channel. Like, we were for so long relying on either table Markdown to display results to the user that might be useful in some way, while we have the 20 last year of experience of building web application that could be used to just build a better experiences, or rely to be able to rely on those on artifact generation from those conversational agents. Like Claude was doing that quite a lot to be able to generate HTML on the go for a better display of results. But both those solutions were either lacking a good user experience or lacking performance that are required to be able to interact in a synchronous way. Like building an artifact on Claude was taking some time, up to a minute, before you actually had a page you could look at and do stuff with. So apps really stood out as a way to really empower business with a way to display what they want to display to users, interact with them where they are, and provide a good user experience too, something richer than you can have on the website or the mobile app at the moment, which I really feel like it's going to be the way forward. We're reaching the end of the to-do list of Cursor on building our Alpic Alpic, ChatGPT application. I think now he's trying to start the server to see if everything is working correctly. We can already take a sneak peek and see if we have a dev server running here. Yeah, so the funny thing, I must say Alpic with a H at the beginning, because it's convinced Alpic is starting with a H. Perfect. It's not. It's Alpic, ALPIC. But I do have a search flight tool on this ChatGPT app. I can ask an origin and destination. Those would probably be airport codes that the LLM would be responsible to fill in. So I will go to Barcelona from Charles de Gaulle. And there is no flight to Barcelona, unfortunately. Is there any other flight I can use? If I take a look at my flight, I can go to Geneva, for example. Okay, so I can see that I have, in the answer of my application, 3 flights that were spotted as potentially interesting for me to go from Charles de Gaulle to Geneva. One at 8:30 in the morning, one at 2 p.m., and one at 8:30 in the evening. I have the pathway of each of those 3 flights that are displayed on the map inside the widget that is being used to power the answer to my request to the specific ChatGPT app. And when I click on one, I have detailed information on the flight with start time, end time, the day of the week it's flying, the duration, price, and a way to go outside of the app. Of course, there is no actual Alpic site that could power this checkout tunnel at the moment, but if one day we pivot to the airline company, we'd be happy to provide the book this flight option to be able to continue the checkout outside of the platform. Seems to be working quite nice. I think we can do 2 things now. First of all, I can deploy this application to Alpic, which I'm going to do just now. We have a deploy command that is already available on the project when you use it, which is going to provide you way as well, part of the free tier. So don't worry about pulling out the credit card. You don't need to. You can deploy your app and start broadcasting it, sharing it with others outside of your development environment. I will use the current directory, of course. I will go to my team. This is not an existing project. It's called Alpic on .24.
Was an H. Hair Alpic. Anyway. Next week we'll do hair Alpic for cutting hair.
We can make some kind of pun of words here, I'm sure, like the hairstylists usually do. This is something the profession is keen on, but we can expand on that way too. When I deploy on Alpic, you can see in my team I have this new Alpic project that has just been created. Inside the deployment, I have the ongoing deployment from the Alpic CLI that has been ongoing for 30 seconds. I can always take a look at what's going on in the background. I have access to analytics to give me better insights on who is using my server and why. logs, various environments that I can put if I want to have multiple versions of my app available at the same time to do beta testing or to have a staging environment before going to production, and some settings that I can use to configure the way my server is built, environment variables, custom domains, authentication I want to put in front of the server. All these are packaged inside Alpic. While we wait for the deployment to complete, I'm sure I quit or didn't I? No,
I have a question from the audience that I can take also while we wait.
Yeah.
From Hendrik about, do you think we'll have our own personal MCP in the future? And I can take a dab at answering this one. I don't think we'll do. I'll think very likely that a lot of companies will have MCP to serve their product or their data, potentially MCP apps as well. There's a good chance that we all have our personal assistants, or at least multiple assistants that we use for certain purposes, depending if you want to have an experience that's visual, an experience that's fully asynchronous, like long-running tasks. I'm pretty sure that, yes, we are going in a direction where LLM and agents will remember us, will have a lot of information about us, and will use more and more to do typically all of the web navigation that we do today. I think humans will do less and less of this, and more of it will be dedicated to LLM and agents.
Thank you for taking this one, Charles. In the meantime, I was restarting my local environment with the tunnel flag to show that the same experience I was showing on the dev tool can also be now available inside ChatGPT conversation. I can expand to a full screen, and I can select a flight and see the detail on the right. Of course, there are still things to adjust. Like, for example, the selected path is absolutely not good.
We've seen better.
This is a zero-shot generated app. I just prompted it one time and it generated an app that is already working quite well. So, of course, it will be an iteration process with the skill, but you can see that you can go very fast from ID into already conversing in ChatGPT with your app in less than 30 minutes, basically.
And if you can share the deployment, I would love for you to share the playgrounds so that people in the chat can actually from your deployment.
Yes, I'm pretty sure I have some build issues. I've seen them. Yes, I have some build issues that are here.
Can you give that to an agent so that he fixes it?
Of course I can.
Actually, in the CLI, we'll have a now, and it will be part of the skill. But basically, you could just ask Cursor to check your deployment status. He will see that it's failed. He will pull the logs and he will fix it by himself. So that's something that will be available this week, actually, in the CLI, if not already. But yeah, if you haven't already deployed Playground, it would be cool to see. Basically, once you deployed on Alpic and you want to distribute your app to your first users that don't necessarily have a developer account on ChatGPT, basically Alpic gives you a free Playground where your MCP apps is already installed that basically simulates ChatGPT. If Fred, you have a Playground that you can show and share, that would be great with an app pre-installed.
So let me check if the other one was deployed. So when you build an MCP server and deploy it, you have a Playground URL that is made available on the Alpic platform that you can go to or redirect your user to, which is a copy of ChatGPT with your server already connected to it. So you don't need to fiddle around adding the server. Here, it's the simple Magic 8-Ball demo app that I was showcasing at the beginning of the project. And I can prompt anything I want. The server will be already existing and connected, and the Magic 8-Ball will be displayed. And what is powering this experience is our own copy of ChatGPT-like conversational agent, plus your MCP server that is deployed on Alpic, already part of the conversation. This is a quick way to distribute your server before it's available in the ChatGPT or Cloud Store. in order to show to people what you've been building around. And hopefully, if the RLPIC new deployment succeeds, I will be able to show you the exact same experience. Yeah, so this time it's working fine.
Meanwhile, I think I will take this opportunity to remind people that there is still an LPIC mask to win. And I will basically be running the lottery in a couple of minutes. So I put the link in the chat again. If you haven't started, here is your chance for a very cool LPIC mask. That if you didn't know why we are wearing those masks, by the way, the answer is actually simple. We have too much of them because before doing infrastructure for AI, we had a small ski shop in the Alps, but we decided to pivot to doing AI stuff because we felt that the market was gaining traction. And so we reused all of our hard skills in building businesses to build something with AI. So now we have a stock of masks like this that we want to give out. So
sorry, I have a second issue that I need to fix also for the playground to be working. But I showcased the playground on the other demo app. You get the point. Now you have the best available environment to craft new apps, test them locally, connect them to ChatGPT, deploy them to RLPIC, and share them with your team, your coworkers, to validate that everything looks fine before submitting it to the official store submission process. We'd be happy to help you go through the submission process as well if this is something you're struggling on. We've been working with quite a lot of companies and helping them getting approved on the official store. This is something that we help people as much as possible with because it's a difficult process at the moment. We got a bunch of features that are coming out soon to help you assess your application readiness for store publication and help you through the store publication. Stay tuned for those. And in the meantime, feel free to contact us if you're building something cool and want feedback on what you're building.
Thank you, Fred. And with that being said, just before we close the stream, I want to say that Tracy and Gott, you're the one who won an LPIC mask. So we'll be sending you a quick email and sending the mask your way. Even if you're not skiing, it's very good to wear when you're riding your bicycle or potentially on the beach as well. It's a very cool style. So I would recommend you don't hesitate to wear it on. It's really, it's pretty unique. So thank you everybody for watching. We hope that you learned a lot. Again, feel free to contact us and we'll be running more of these sessions every couple of weeks. And thank you very much, Fred, for hosting us tonight.
It was a pleasure. Very nice session. How's that? Can't wait for the next one.
Yep. Thank you, everyone. Have a good one. Bye-bye.